I spotted Charlie Veach as he rose on an escalator from beneath the London Road entrance to Manchester's Piccadilly train station. He wore a green plaid hoodie, blue jeans, and a backpack. A splotch of white just above his temples stood out from within his otherwise conservative haircut. At the top, he smiled, pivoted, and kept his momentum going as he closed the distance between us. He said hello while walking and changed direction to enter the flow of pedestrian traffic, his body parting a parade of people walking in the opposite direction. Charlie kept his head turned toward me and abandoned introductions, explaining with wide gestures the architecture and history of the city where he and his partner, Stacy, were now raising 3 kids. Life was good here, he said, though he still worked under a false name to keep the truthers from finding him. Charlie is a tall man, so keeping up with his stride took some effort. I felt pulled along as if I had grabbed the back of a bus, my feet suspended in the air, like in a Chaplin gag. He had insights he wanted to share on homelessness, the local art and music scenes, modern movie production, the similarities and differences between Manchester and London and Berlin, all before we had reached our 3rd crosswalk, which he would have likely ignored like the others if traffic had permitted. I wanted to meet Charlie because when he was making a living as a professional conspiracy theorist, he had done something incredible, something so rare and unusual that, before I started this book, I thought was impossible, something that had nearly ruined his life. It all began in June 2011, just ahead of the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, when Charlie boarded a British Airways flight at Heathrow Airport bound for the United States and Ground Zero. He and 4 other truthers joined a group of cameramen, editors, and sound engineers, along with comedian Andrew Maxwell, the host of a TV series called Conspiracy Road Trip. Maxwell and his crew would make 4 programs for the BBC, each dealing with a different conspiratorial community: UFO enthusiasts, evolution deniers, London bombing conspiracy theorists, and truthers, the people who believe the official story of what happened on September 11, 2001, is a lie. Note: the BBC has taken down the 9/11 episode from the show's official website. It is still available online through a number of streaming services. End note. The premise of the show was to send such people around the world and have them travel by bus to meet experts and eyewitnesses who would challenge their conspiratorial beliefs with undeniable evidence, with facts. Whatever drama that ensued made for great television, arguing and frustration on both sides cut together with playful music and the usual reality show editing. At the end of each show, Maxwell, our host and guide into the world of conspiracy theorists, would sit down with the road trippers to see if the facts presented had persuaded them in any way. That was the hook. People never budged. Maxwell, exasperated, ended every road trip shaking his head, wondering what it would take to reach them. But Charlie's episode was different. He and his fellow 9/11 truthers spent 10 days in New York, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. They walked the crash sites. They met experts in demolition, explosives, air travel, and construction. They met family members of the victims. They met officials from the government, including one who was at the Pentagon when it was hit and helped with the gory cleanup. They visited the original architects of the World Trade Center. They met the person who was the National Operations Manager of the FAA at the time of the attacks. They even trained in a commercial airliner flight simulator and took flying lessons over New York City, landing a single-engine airplane with no prior piloting experience. At each step of their journey, they met people who were either at the top of their fields of expertise, saw 9/11 unfold firsthand, or had lost someone that day. Despite Maxwell's efforts, the truthers doubled down, more certain than ever that there was a conspiracy afoot. If anything, his efforts confirmed it. They all argued with him, suggesting they were being tricked by paid actors, or that the experts were mistaken, or the so-called facts came from dubious sources. All except for one. At the time, Charlie was a leader in the truther community. His main income for years came from producing hundreds of anarchy and conspiracy-themed YouTube videos, some receiving 1 million views or more. He told his fans that the fires of 9/11 couldn't have burned hot enough to melt the World Trade Center's steel beams, and that the buildings fell perfectly into their footprints. It must have been a controlled demolition.